this episode of Midwest Talk. So every once in a while, you make a video like we did last week, and the person you're talking about reaches out saying, "Hey, why don't you have me on and you guys can ask us some questions?" So this week's special guest is Michael Zuber. And Michael, I was thinking the best way to do this might be a game of ping pong, and you can pick who goes first.
I'm a ladies first, and then in order. So Len, you were here first, at least for me, and ladies first.
Oh, yes. So this was like a very interesting video to watch because I know you guys are our friend. Ryan Pineda has been around in your world and you've been in
Mhm.
his world for years. I think
Mhm.
many of the things that he said in his channel, like thankful to you because he wanted to get into rentals, buy and hold. So it was a little surprising to see from my side that he was so argumentative during the whole video and really didn't give you any time to respond or even like back up your story with
Mhm.
evidence because obviously out of the three of you guys you're the one who's retired, right? You're the one
Yeah.
who doesn't have an active job. So it was interesting. And then my question to you would be like, how did you how did you feel now that it's all the way outside? Like now
Yeah.
that it's been 3 days, it's brought up so many questions for the school community. I'm sure from his YouTube video.
Mhm.
Like now that we're on the other side, how do you feel about that video?
Yeah, so I'll answer that. But the first thing I wanted to say to the three of you is this is such an honor for me. Obviously, I do lots of interviews both on my show and I now appear on other shows quite a bit. And I've been on some big shows, but this one's going to mean the most to me because you three kind of know my story, right? I won't be repeating things. Sometimes when you're on a new channel, I feel like I'm saying the same story over and over, and I can't change it because it's my story. So the fact that you three know all of my stories probably means you're going to ask me more important questions, more real questions. And I suspect the three of you are going to ask me questions that I've never thought about or never answered. So thank you for being in my world, being a giver, doing that great video last week. So let me just say that up front. So thank you, the three of you, for doing that. The question, the answer to the question is, I actually feel so much better. And I started to feel this way probably 48 hours after the video posted, because when I left the event, I was upset. I mean, I've never left an interview kind of mad, right? I was on the borderline of mad because it wasn't the discussion we advertised. And again, I don't do a lot of prep, right? It's 2 minutes of prep. And what I had going into that was we're going to talk about 2026 and why 2026 is going to be better than 2025. That was the vision I had. So I had all this, I do what I do. I had an outline in my head. I had the talk tracks. I knew where I wanted to go. And then about 10 minutes in the video, this freaking right turn comes out of nowhere and I'm just reacting. And, I thought there was several times, to your point, where I could have gone back at it and gone deeper, but I was, not as prepared as I probably should have been, and was really shocked at how it went. So I left mad. Then fast forward 48 hours after it's posted, and I do what I do all the time, and I go into the comments, and I would say 80% of the comments on Ryan's channel, which, oh, by the way, is massive. It's 450,000 folks, and I think it's got like 30,000 views or something. I would say 80% of the comments were somewhere between just completely positive or, thoughtful comments. So, I think the video did better than I expected, certainly better than I when I left. And now that it's been 2 weeks, I've gotten messages from folks all over, basically saying, hey, you held your own. They talked over you. Thanks for doing what you're doing. And, even folks like Coach Carson has come out to me, and Scott Trench and all these other folks, and like, yeah, these guys are just talking their book. They had somebody there that, I've been doing this 30 years now, almost 30 years, and they've been doing it like 7 seconds. They should have been more like, tell me more. Let's go deeper there. And so, yeah, I was not happy about it the day of, But now I'm actually ecstatic because I think it painted a very clear black and white difference. It's like they're over here and Zuber's over here. One of them, to your point's retired and been retired for 8 years and never gone back, never thought about it. And the other one changes their mind every 7 seconds. And I'm okay with that difference. So I feel a lot better now that it's out there. So I just feel better.
Yeah, I think the dialogue between two opposite views on the same subject really brings to show like what you are actually leaning towards and what you actually believe in and what is actually tangible, because there was a lot of things in the conversation that were like you were like asking a straight up question and they were not answering the question. They were just like tantalizing around it, just basically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, do you actually know what you're doing, or are we just like kind of trying to see what sticks in the wall?
The one question I wish I would have asked Bryan, and I was getting to it, and then they took a right turn, and I never brought it back, was, okay, Bryan, you tell me you have a buy box. Because I asked him, like, do you have a buy box? And he's like, oh, yeah. And I look at lots of deals. In reality, he looks at too much. I should have asked, and you all know this, but for the audience, was what's the average yield in your buy box? And that would have broke his brain because he has no idea. He's just buying crap to buy crap. And no wonder you're stressed and you have no cash flow at 30 units because you don't even know what the hell you're doing. You don't know what the average yield is. If you don't know what the average yield is, you don't write offers. I mean, it's that simple. And I'd bet $1,000 right now he has no idea what the average yield is on any of his properties because he doesn't have what you and I talk about, a buy box, right? Set of criteria, you look at every day, you run the numbers. It's too boring. People like Bryan and Ryan, they need excitement and they need juice and they need all. And dude, I'm a boring swing the hammer again guy. And that's just not sexy. So yeah, that's the one question I've thought about. And it's really the only one that I wish I would have gone back to. It's like, okay, you tell me you're doing this, prove it. And he would have tripped all over himself and fell down.
Well, that's even like David Green, Rob Apostolo, and even Brandon Turner, all within, I want to say, the last quarter of last year to the present, have all said that the one rental at a time strategy is the for sure will work strategy. Like you can bounce around the different flavors of the month, but if you want to get rich for sure, this is the strategy that you need to stick with.
Yeah, it's really funny to watch all of them. And first off, none of those three folks will give one rental at a time the credit, but they won't say it explicitly. They'll talk buy and hold and all of that because they don't want to throw shine on anyone else. They think it takes away from their brand, which it doesn't, but it is what it is. But you're absolutely right. The buy and holds work for 100 years, and it will work for the next 100 years. It's not sexy. It doesn't sell out masterminds. It doesn't build a pipeline and click funnels and all of this stuff because it's boring. You make one decision a year. It's not sexy. Getting wealthy should not be sexy. It's a freaking boring, repetitive process that you do day in and day out for a decade. It just is what it is.
So, Mr. Zuber, I think that I guess I could relate more during the whole video because I did buy my first house. It was my parents' house out of foreclosure in 2007. Mm-hmm. And so it's weird because I think Bryan and Ryan, we're all probably close in age, but for me, I have experience that I probably shouldn't have because of what happened with my dad's house when he passed away or whatever.
Yeah.
And so the whole time I'm over here, like I was getting frustrated because I kind of likened it to the whole thing of like people telling me you can't do this because you had a kid at 16. You can't do this because you're black. You can't. And I felt like that was the rejection that you were met with the whole entire video. So I found myself frustrated. And my husband's up in New York watching. And he's like, all these guys are interested in doing is selling something. Yeah. You know, that's their whole point is to sell something. They're not listening to a word that Mr. Zuber is saying or whatever. And so to me, that was interesting, but I know like, so I'm almost 43, but I know something that I've noticed with like a lot of my husband and I's peer group for our age is that they think that they're investors because they bought a house, you know, whatever, really when interest rates are low. Cause when I bought got my parents' house out of foreclosure during that time, well, cause I had to assume my dad's loan, but then the next house I bought in 2010, that was like the market was, I didn't know at the time. I had no clue about nothing. I was just buying a low price point that I knew would, I could double payments whenever I put a tenant in it once the Army moved us. And so I wasn't trying to go, over the top of what our income would allow. It was, probably a quarter, maybe 20% of what, we could have. I guess it would be like at a 20% of our income or whatever, what we bought, or whatever our monthly payment was, or maybe even 15 actually back then. But anyways, so for me, yeah, like hearing their excuses was pretty crazy. But anyways, so I feel like people that bought after the GFC and then like when rates started coming down, like if you look at the historical data, a lot of them think that they're investors when we had low interest rates, really from like, I don't know, you probably know the exact years when rates started going below 5 or whatever. So we've had all those years of, what would be really, really low rates. And so people have thought this whole time that they're some kind of an investor because they keep a house for a few years, turn around and sell it, and then keep doing it again and again. And that's kind of what I felt like the energy was from both of them, was that you guys think investing is buying something, holding on to it for a couple of days and then turning it around and selling it real quick and then calling yourself an investor because, oh, I made $100,000 in cash, and then all you're going to do is buy a car with it because that's what we see most people our age do, or maybe pay off some bad debt, but they don't actually, reinvest it into anything that's going to make them more money. And so for me, that's kind of, like I said, what I saw going on. But my first question I had for you was like, what was your biggest issue with being met with the rejection? Was it that they wouldn't let you talk, or that they wouldn't let you explain like your story? But what bothered you the most with the rejection?
It was just, I felt like I was lied to, honestly. Because again, Ryan and I had texted setting this up, and the text was, we're going to talk about why 2026 will be different than 2025. So I always try to go into sessions like that prepared, and I had a set of stuff I wanted to talk about. And then, like I said, that right turn. So I don't think it was intentional. Sometimes videos just go. And again, I was communicating with Ryan, and then obviously there was a third party there, Bryan, which I was not communicating with. And he obviously, probably led the charge, turning it, making that right turn. So that was really where I was probably, I just felt lied. I guess lied's too strong a word, but something like that. I just felt like I was set up. And it's not that I wouldn't have enjoyed that conversation. I just would have come prepared to battle.
Like with argumentative points or whatever to argue your case.
Yeah. It's like, hey, you told me this was going to be a knife fight. I'm down for a knife fight. And then you bring a gun.
Right.
Come on, man. Just tell me it's going to be a gunfight. I have no problem fighting. I'm down for a gunfight. Just tell me it's going to be a gunfight. Don't lie and say it's going to be a knife fight. Right. So that was the thing. Because again, I would have loved to have that detailed conversation, because back to the comment with Len is, I would have grilled him. I'd have made him look like a foolish kid because he doesn't know what he's doing. And I would have embarrassed his ass. But I wasn't prepared for that, that talk track in my head, and I had to react on the fly. So, yeah. And then the last thing I want to bring up back to your point, about, buying in when you did, is I want people to realize this. 2021 and 2022, which are the years that Ryan and Bryan were killing it. They both made millions of dollars. To your point, it was easy. Frequently, even idiots and morons who were doing this were making money. Not only making money, printing money. That was exactly like 05, 06.
Yep.
Exactly. I remember people in 05, 06 I was in the Valley at that point, at cocktail parties talking about houses never go down.
Yep.
And so I have been here before. I've seen the movie, and I'm like, dude, this is going to be painful. And again, I want people to realize I made millions of dollars in 21 and 22, but those years sucked, just like 05, 06. Those are not the years that I want. Those 21 and 22, 05 and 06 are not great for one rental at a time. Not great. It's great for quick money, fast money, hype, gurus, frauds, shysters, whatever, because money is just flying. That's not good for us, because we're grinders. We're operators. We're buy one deal a year folks. And we want to run the numbers. We don't want to make decisions in 7 seconds, because that's not how the game is played long term. That said, and what I thought I was going to talk about in 26 is, it's our time. It's finally our market, right? Listings are going to go up. sellers are finally realizing that it's not 22 anymore. They're going to be more realistic. They're going to counter. They're going to pay. Like I went to that session excited to let everybody know that for the first time in 4 or 5 years, it is finally an ORAT market. Our community, throw in Coach Carson, small and mighty, we're going to dominate this market because we are willing to write 100 offers. We are willing to follow up 80 times because we need one deal. One. We don't need 7 to pay for the overhead like all of these syndicators that are going to blow up spectacularly. We are just operators and grinders. We talk about getting to 4, maybe get to 10. We're not, hey, if you don't have 1,000 units, you don't belong in our room. That's not it. We're trying to change, families here, and we could do that with as little as 4. So that's the message. I wanted to deliver a positive message, a motivating message that 2026 is finally our time. That's what I went prepared for, and then it just didn't happen.
Well, I think the other thing too is they kept harping on how you made $400,000, but what they didn't want to say is that's in the Silicon Valley.
Oh God,
yeah. And they're talking about how $20,000 a month isn't a lot of money, and then they're talking about how they've made like over $1 million in flipping and stuff, and it's just they're so unrelatable to what people of this group are doing, and that was like the one thing that kind of got me was as they're all talking about that. One of the times that they brought that up, I forget what it was you guys were exactly talking about, but you went to answer a question. You opened up your mouth and they cut it to a commercial about how they're going to tell you how to sell real estate or make money off of real estate. And it was like, and whatever you said there was lost because then Bryan,
it mustn't have met them. Yeah, I don't know. They definitely cut some stuff out for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I forget what we said.
To be devil's advocate here.
Sure, go for it.
Since I think I was saying this during the reaction video of like Ryan and Bryan talk to the audience, the people that are currently like we at One Rent at a Time, like we're building this while working at W2. And we kind of have the expectation because you have said it, like the first 5 years sucks. It's going to be at least it's going to be at least 10 years until you see any type of like income producing exponentially growth, right? So, but the people that are listening to Bryan and Ryan, they're like, want the money now, like cash flow now. I want to retire now. I want my investments to replace my income this year, next year, not like in 10 years, not like in 7 years. So I would say, like, for you, what is the response to the people that do hate their W2, do want to leave today?
Yeah. This is a question I really want to dig into because I've never thought about it. And I thought your reaction video was dead on and we should talk about it. So first and foremost, I don't think it's unfair to say that Ryan Pineda's audience and my audience don't overlap a lot, right? The Venn diagram is not, there's not a lot of crossover between them, right? He's an entrepreneur, I'm an employee, all of that. But to your point, and one of the things that I probably should think more about, Lynn, is exactly that question, right? There are absolutely people out there that hate their job, and they want the vision of burning the boats and going all in on real estate. And again, as an employee, that scares the bejesus out of me. As a dad and a husband who had already, back to Jack's point, I probably had $12,000 to $14,000 in overhead, right? So again, you might look at my income, but dude, in the Valley, are you kidding me? So again, I could not imagine jumping out of the workforce with a $14,000 nut and going all in on real estate. It's just, I would have a panic attack. But to your point, there's a big part of the world out there that loves that. So I think we should talk about that more. And my answer is not going to be what Ryan or Bryan say. It's not going to be buy my mastermind or do this or do that. It's going to be, you need to add skills. You frankly need to change your mind. I think the first thing you need to do is you need to change your orientation. I think it is super easy to say, I hate my job. I think it's super easy. I think in a world full of people that like to complain, it's probably more acceptable to say, I hate my job instead of I love my job, right? I just think it's that dark. But what I want people to realize is if you simply change your orientation from my job is a prison to my job is a key, it changes the game. I think too many of us spend time in a prison decorating our cell. And I'm like, stop the madness. Go look for the key and get out. The way to get out hasn't changed in 100 years. You need to create discretionary income. Now, for some of you, that's get a second or third job. And let me tell you, at 19 years old, married, I had 3 jobs and I was going to school.
Yep.
I worked 7 days a week for almost 3 years. I think the only day I had off was Christmas because all 3 jobs were not open on Christmas. For 3 years. Why? Because I had a family and I had to pay off my fucking college debt. I had 3 jobs. Some of that, one of those was in retail, right? Because again, I just had to keep working because there was no other way. It was on me to do this. And so again, you got to figure out a way to create discretionary income. The other thing I will say is it's never been easier to turn your passion or your thing, whatever makes you a unique human being, into something, right? This social media, for all its negatives, it also empowers you to monetize whatever you love. And again, I talk to Sean Cannell, the CEO of Think Media, all the time, and he's got people that do all kinds of crazy things that there are their passions, and they're producing, significant income. So again, I just think people need to change their mindset. I have no magic sauce. I'm not going to be here and tell somebody you need to quit your job. You need to pay 10 grand to join a mastermind and just hope and pray. That's not going to be my thing. My thing's going to be, suck it up, buttercup. It's time to get to work. It's time to sacrifice. It's time to eat beans and rice and beans, and, create some paper and then, go buy some assets. I've got no magic easy button for anyone. It's the same path for all of us.
Yeah, I think the secret is not secret. Like, it's not going to be easy,
Yeah.
right? It's going to be hard. And I think Jack and I, we were like, when I looked at real estate, I was barely trying to get a way out of my W-2 because I was a nurse and I was depressed and I wanted to I do live in LA. I do have a high cost of living. I have high bills. Like, how am I
Yeah.
going to be? All I know is how to be a nurse. Like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Like, to replace that income that I grown so comfortable with. And the first thing I was like, well, even though, I overwhelmed with everything, I was like, I cannot just leave my job. I have to plan for this. I went back to school. I looked into other investments. I made I calculated, I need 27 houses to replace my income. Like, that's crazy, right? To think about it. But I was like, okay, well, I can't do 27. I'm going to start with 1.
Yeah.
But that is just the mindset. I'm not an entrepreneur, so I'm not going to just switch off my mind and be like, well, I'm going to leave my W-2 and I start a company. That's not who I am. So I need plan A, plan B, plan C.
Yeah.
If it doesn't pan out. And I feel like people don't think about that strategy that takes that. If you do hate your job, then you need to come up with significant amount of plans that are going to pan out.
Yeah. And again, because again, I talk to people a lot these days. And again, I would say most of them, certainly on our first engagement, will tell me they hate their job because they like the financial freedom that, I'm on a pedestal that we've earned for the last 8 years. But again, you have to change your orientation. Again, your job could be the key to your financial future. Sarah's a leading example of this, right? She was in the military and she leveraged the benefits of the military over and over and over again, which again, if you're in the military and you're not copying what Sarah Garrett did, you're a fool. I mean, just straight up fool. You can be financially free in a decade. You don't even have to wait till you're 20. I mean, if there's not a better leading example of just using whatever you've been given, it's absolutely Sarah Garrett. So again, I just think people need to realize it's there if you want it, but nobody's going to give it to you. You got to go take it. You got to step up and take it. And, today there's just a lot of whiners and crybabies. And frankly, I can't, if I identify you as a whiner and a crier, I just walk away. I ain't got time for you. I don't want you in my world.
Right. Lindsay, I think that's when you talk about people not liking your job, which I think I told you guys before, because I wanted the lifelong benefits of having a full retirement career in the Army. It was different for me, but it doesn't mean it was easy. Like going to war, being away from your family, my husband's away from us now. it's not easy, right? But I'm not a complainer, so people think that it's not a struggle for me because I'm like, hey, we're grinding, right? But I think if people would use their work money to build long-term wealth and have like a chart or a vision board or whatever to see, okay, instead of using all their money just to buy stuff, I think that they might not be as upset with their job if they knew they had something to look forward to, like longer term. So even like, for example, like right now, my husband, he could have retired out of the army 3 years ago, but he and I came up with a plan and said, hey, if we stay longer, we're building more longevity pay. So when you finally do get out, whether that's at 49 or if he chooses to stay for 40 years until he's 59, he will never again, even at 49, would never ever have to lift a finger ever again, because the fact that we're choosing to make a sacrifice now. And so I think a lot of people, I think this is one of the negatives of social media. It's made people think that stuff comes quick, fast, and in a hurry. It makes people compare themselves to each other and think that I have to have all this now, when really, like, getting a high income is kind of easy to do, or increasing your income or discretionary income is easy to do, but creating wealth actually does take time. And wealth is only created by, like Mr. Zuber teaches, buying assets. So even like right now, for example, my husband has been in New York in negative 15-degree weather. He texted me this morning, and he chose, and he makes a lot of money in the army, a lot of money. This guy is very high ranking in the military, making a high income, and went and got a job at Domino's Pizza, literally. Because he's like, we're going to get the rest of these houses paid off back in your same little timeline you had before we had to take on a fifth house. And I'm like, babe, it's like, it's not really that bad. I can wait an extra 12 months. He's like, no, if that's what gives you peace. Plus, he's depressed with the cold. So he was like,
he's warm.
Yes. Man, he called me after working, from 4 o'clock in the morning, starting with the army all the way until 11 o'clock at night. He called me just as happy as could be. He said, because
Nice.
I feel like I'm doing something productive. And to me, that takes it back. Mr. Zuber, what you're explaining about shifting your mindset, right? Or your orienteering or whatever. That's how my husband is. And that's something that I loved about him from day one, was that he just understood from his dad and his grandfather, a man has to work. Whatever your work is doing, whether it's pizza or I'm this high important guy in the army or whatever, like, I don't care. Work is work. And I've got to do that in order to feed my family, right? I think where he loved me was that, hey, I'm looking 50 years down the road from now. Instead of me wanting a new car, I don't want all that. I don't want all these purses and all that. That's money I could be putting on a house, on a house, on a house, on a house. And so because he had saw that vision with me, we just chose to do something different with our money. And I feel like that's actually the cheat code, is not doing what everybody else does, which actually leads me to my other question with you, Mr. Zuber, was something I didn't like that they did in the video was they started talking about your income. And Lynn and I did discuss this, I think, when we did the last live stream, was that it was still a choice. And so for me, what did you do to get through, again, everyone around you buying new cars, upgrading their houses, going on the vacations or whatever? Because that's what, like I said, what Keith and I deal with even now. Just a simple thing with the pressure washing with my neighbors. Like, I'm not pressure washing twice a year because you do that. Like, this is $600 that can go on the next, a double or triple mortgage payment this month, and I'm going to stay on my same program. But even something as stupid as that, it was like, should I pressure wash a second time every year because he does, and he's like 55 years old? And so that's my question for you, is like, what did you use to push through? Because we have our own strategy that we've always used to push through, which one of them is just keeping to ourselves, really. But having that level high, I mean, all the status that comes with earning that high income or whatever, like, how did you push through those choices that you and Olivia had?
Yeah. So again, it's when you're, again, in the Silicon Valley in what year would that have been? Like 2008, 9, 10, money's flying around, .com, tech, all that stuff. Lots of bad, a lot of frivolous spending. I mean, just ridiculous frivolous spending. And the only reason we stayed away from that is Olivia and I talked, again, I was traveling. You guys had no idea, like millions of miles on airplanes. And I hated every mile, which is ridiculous. We just talked. So every Friday, I would try to be home Friday evening so we can have our sushi date night thing. And we would just talk about the plan. And the plan was to, again, I tell, like, we lived on less than half our income.
Right.
right? And that was a choice. And it was very difficult. Again, when you're in that environment and people are driving crazy cars and they got crazy vacations and they have second homes and they're moving it. And again, I've told this story, you guys have heard this, but for the audience, one of the hardest days for me was around year 8. So we're almost to year 10, right, in this journey. And we probably own over 100 homes or 100 properties at this point, maybe even 120 at this point. And we went to a housewarming party. And this was for somebody that reported to me, right? So again, right in the org chart, this person reported to me. And they had a home in a city called Los Altos. We live in Mountain View. Los Altos is mountains higher status, right? It's where you live in Los Altos when you're successful. You live in Mountain View when you're poor, right? That's what these cities mean if you don't know the Bay Area. So again, he's in Los Altos. I'm in Mountain View. He's in a house. I'm in a condo. He's got a front yard and a backyard. I've got neither. He's got a 2-car garage and this little half-car garage for his man cave. I've got none of that. He's got 4 bedrooms. I've got like 2.5, right? It's just this tiny ass condo. He's got fully upgraded kitchen with stainless steel appliances. I still have the same crappy white subway tiles that we got in 2000, right? So it's just night and day different. And I'm looking at this, I'm going through, I'm smiling and, all of this. We're there probably 2.5 hours. And I don't know it yet, but that drive home, which would have been about 15 minutes, was one of the hardest drives I've ever done. In fact, I had to pull over because I was bawling. Yeah. I was bawling because my stupid brain went down this rabbit hole of this direct employee to me, living a better life, providing for his family better, right? I was talking, my brain went in this loop cycle that basically called me a complete failure as a husband, a failure as a father, a failure at everything in life. And I had been 8 years into this journey. I'd gotten past the 5 years of suck. We had started to see these things and I'm fucking bawling on the side of the road. I can't physically drive home because I just witnessed somebody theoretically doing better than me. Mm-hmm. So we finally get home. My Olivia looks at me like she doesn't know what's going on, right? She drives home petrified and it's like 5 minutes to home. So it's not a big drive, but she's like, I'm going to drive home. You do you. And like Olivia never drives. It's just our thing. I drive all the time. So she's driving home, right? And so we get home and she's like, I can't get out of the car. I fundamentally can't get out of the car. I don't know where my brain's at this point. And so she's wonderful. She talks to me. And basically I uncover that I think I might have, this 8 years of suck and pain we've been through might have been a mistake. Because honey, we don't have this. We don't have that. We don't have this. We don't have that, right? And then she goes, let me show you something. Because I've told you guys for years, Olivia ran the books and my job was to, sell a lot of software and find deals. We separated, right? So my world is always the next deal, the next deal, the next deal. And she's running the books and she goes, let me show you something. I'm like, okay. So she takes me upstairs, pulls up the spreadsheets or whatever it was and shows me, a net worth that I had no idea about, a cash flow that I had no idea about. And I'm like, oh, okay. I feel a little better now. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was extremely hard. But to your point, how did we do that? We just stayed in our little bubble. And yeah, I had people make fun of us, right? I was in a career where sales reps, competed on stuff. And, we went to these things called QBRs, quarterly business reviews. And, oh, I got this pair of shoes and that pair of belt and stupid shit. Yeah. And yeah, it was really embarrassing, but you know what? I retired at 45 and all of them are still working. So yeah, I won. Haha.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a great point Lynn made up when we were talking on the last video. And I hadn't even thought about that because I was thinking about everything else that made me mad from the video. And she's like, well, here's the deal. Mr. Zuber's not going to work anymore. And I was like, ooh, I didn't even think of that. You were spot on with that one. Yeah. She's like, last time I checked, you're doing podcasts on Sundays with us.
Exactly. Yeah. That was that. I still remember that. I remember physically, that's the only time it's ever happened where I had to fundamentally pull over the car on the road, or I forget, I think it was on Grant, the street called Grant, that I had to pull over. It's still wild to think about. And again, you got to watch your mind, man. Your mind can go to some dark places.
Yeah, yeah, I can totally relate to that. Like I said, it's that's how Keith and I, that's been our strength too, is we're really close with each other. We always have kept to ourselves, been very tight knit with even our kids. And it's, and, you know, in the military, you have a guaranteed paycheck the 1st and 15th. And when you're dealing with military officers, it's always like this pissing contest, very like corporate America, of who's got this next and who's got that. And so I think my husband and I, it was the same for me, like in 2020. That's around the time when I found you, because everyone went online, was like sell, sell, sell. So I'm listening to this content, whatever, online. I'm homeschooling the kids. My husband's deployed to Korea. And then I had never done a net worth statement either. I just kept paying and paying, and investing and investing. And so then I'm like, well, maybe we should sell, because all my friends online are saying to sell, sell, sell. So I'm like, I'm the type of person where I want to hear all the perspectives. So I'm like, I got to find someone that says not to sell. And that's how I found you, actually. So I sat down and did a net worth statement. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even realize that we built this. Like, no, there's no way I accomplished this. The little old 16-year-old girl with the baby, there's no way, from the Army. Like, how did we do this? Right. And so then that was what Keith was like, wait, are you serious? And I said, yeah, because, we had been through different things with my 2 oldest kids, their dad, and whatever it might be. And so, but we just kept on investing the whole time, kept investing, making extra mortgage payments, doing all these things. And so, but it's funny, because even when we moved to the place that we're at now, like my husband, what was his dream truck and all this, the same guy that's fussing about the pressure washing has that dream truck. So he moved in, like, I don't know, 2 years after we were here or something. And I'm like, the devil is trying to get me distracted. Like, literally, because of course I want my husband to have those things. But then it's like, now, after he saw the net worth statement and all these things, he's like, Sarah, I want an old truck that's like, from 1985, that's like maybe 15 grand because it's been restored. Yeah. He's like, I don't want that, because when you start seeing how much your money can roll over from the properties, and and that even, like I told you, now we're good with just the 4 properties we have now. And I'm like, I have so much, like, what am I going to do with this when we're done? Because we can live off probably $3,000 a month and retire, my husband and I, and so I'm like, we don't even have a need for what all that we've built,
Nice.
But it is, I've had those moments where I cried and felt like a failure to my kids, because I'm like, okay, oh my God, like the kid at my son's school is driving a Mercedes Benz, and should I just plan for that? And I'm like, no, like, no, they're gonna, and then the kid crashed it. So I'm like, heck no.
Heck no, that's right.
Yeah, and so so that very emotional for me, hearing that from you. And then kind of like, I feel like you get the last laugh all these years later.
Yeah, I've laughed a lot after, but yeah, it was tough. Again, this journey that we're on to build wealth is a decade. Lots of twists and turns. The devil will try to tease it out of you. And again, I've seen lots of people get into this, and they just stop at year 5. Something happens, life changes, relationships change, and they just go do something else. It's not for everybody, but if you stick to it, it works. It's just math. Yeah. Did I answer your question, Lynn? Sorry.
Yeah. No, yes, you did. But I think like comparing to others, it's a very natural thing our brain does, because evolutionarily, like if I think about caveman, like, oh, that other person is doing like little house with sticks, and now they have leaves, and now it's like the water is not gonna ruin my house. I'm gonna do the same thing. It creates the amount of like healthy competition as well. But I think a lot of people lack the objective, like the goal that you set up for, the lack of commitment, like your North Star, the thing that you're doing this for. People don't usually think about the goal. This is what I'm working towards. We get very distracted, like social media, TikTok, 20-second videos. We get very distracted, like Amazon, next day purchase, like instant notification. But where is like the actual North Star that we have? Like, I don't think a lot of people.
You're absolutely right
into that.
You're absolutely right. This that wealth formula that I talk about all the time, the hardest step is step 3. And that's understanding it takes a decade, right? We all want it now. And back to the Ryan video, I mean, that is, to your point, a lot of their audience is they want it now. They want it quick. And I don't have any answers for you. I don't believe in get rich quick. And I certainly don't believe in changing strategies. I mean, again, I think that's something that Bryan suffers from, is he's had 17 strategies. And he's not been in real estate 10 years. He's been in 10 different things, and repeating year 1. Talk about a horrible life, right? It's like you've lived the same first year 10 times. You get no economies of scale. You're not learning anything. You're not getting better. And, I've been in this same freaking market for 25 years. It's just night and day different.
Mm.
I think our chat is not working, but I have a question from the YouTube live. It says,
nice.
has Bryan reached out to you since that interview to have another discussion where you can clearly discuss your approach and why this can help most of us?
No, Ryan hasn't reached out to me. Ryan and I communicate maybe once a month, once every 6 weeks. We're not best of friends, but we certainly respectful. I could reach out to him and ask for that, but I haven't. I have no desire to go repeat that, frankly. Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to repeat that video because not to
Len,
give you
come on.
advice. Because now you're coming with like the
I would be far more
understanding that you're
prepared.
going to bring the data and bring
Yeah.
like the actual proof. I think it wouldn't be a bad idea. Just saying.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe after my event. I'm a little focused on the event next
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah.
I'll reach out after
Oh,
that.
oh, God.
But I can do that.
I do have another question before like we move on and
Sure.
so the average American makes about $70,000 a year.
The average household. Yeah.
Right, average household. And then so when they look at you and then they have this information, I do see a question of it's like, I don't make $400,000 a year. How can I relate to Michael Zuber if I,
This is
he
a
has
great
done
question.
this? Yeah.
So for most of my life, I made significantly less than that. I was very, very good at what I did. I was in the top 1% of what I did. I successfully turned ideas on whiteboards into $100 million businesses. That was what I was very good at. And I had done that 3 times, right? The first time you do it, they think you're lucky. The second time you do it, you get paid. And the third time you do it, you make a lot of money. So let's be clear. Most of my career was not that. But again, I'm only going to tell you the truth, right? I did average that the last 8 to 10 years because I was very good at what I did. But again, I started my real estate journey. The first decade of my real estate journey, I made less than 6 figures. Nobody asked that question.
Mhm.
But here's the other reality. And this only becomes obvious if you play this game from Robert Kiyosaki called Cash Flow. It's a board game now. I think it's electronic, but I have the board game like right over there on the shelf.
Me too.
Yeah, I play that game all the time.
Yeah.
And here's the reality. If the goal is to escape the rat race, I would rather make 70 grand a year than 700. Now, why is that? Because let me just tell you, it is a lot harder to replace a 700K income than a 70K income. So the reason I had to do this for 15 years and Dion did it in 8 is because I had to replace 2 6-figure incomes. Olivia made 6 figures the last couple of years as well. Right? That just takes a lot longer and takes more units. Back to your point, you're needing 27 or whatever it was. I needed 127 or whatever that was. So again, you got to look at your world. And again, if I was starting over, I would love to be 18 years old. I would buy a 4-plex in my chosen city, and I would be done by the time I'm 25. It's just, your expenses, keeping up with the Joneses, all of that expands to your means. So again, I want people to realize you got to change your mindset. The fact that you can live on roughly $6 grand a month, which is $70,000, it's technically 72,000, is awesome. You're probably 5 or 6 houses and a decade to 12 years away from being financially free. People just need to change their orientation. It's not about the income. It's about disposable income, stacking assets, and doing it for a decade. Again, I want people to realize, I know people that are financially free that never made more than 50 grand. Now, if you look at my income or my cash flow versus theirs, it's not even close. But again, I had to replace 2 6-figure incomes. They had to replace 50. But we're both free. We're both financially free. And they did it a lot faster than I did. So I think people get lost in a big number. They also get lost in what that number, I had to travel. I had to work 6 days a week. You guys have heard me say this. Like, if you ever ask me, how am I doing? I usually say every day is Saturday. You know that that's a real thing for me. For almost a decade, I did not have weekends. I only had Saturday. Why? Because I would be flying to Europe or Asia or South America on Sunday. So again, you look at this number and you don't realize what it takes. You don't realize that you're the top 1% in a chosen profession that almost nobody could do. And then, you know, you have to do, there are so many things that I missed as a dad. Like, I've told everybody, you know, one of the big things, like if you're like a girl dad, like I'm a girl dad, like hug your daughter. Like when she turns 12 or 13, these freaking hormones take over and she won't even hug you at home. Right. I could go back and hug my 8-year-old more. Oh my God. I'd write $100,000 check right now to go get some 8-year-old hugs for my daughter, Teresa.
Yeah.
Just fuck. So again, everybody's got to make their choices. But again, if we're going to play the game of life, if I got to redo my life, I would not go to college. I would not get an MBA. I would hustle and grind as a salesperson as I was. And I would stack paper, buy a fourplex, buy a triplex, buy a duplex, buy a single family home, and done. I'd do the 4-3-2-1 strategy that the lumberjack talks about. And I'd be fucking done by 27 or 28. And my cash flow would probably be $4 or $5 grand a month. I'd be done. I wouldn't retire at 45. I'd retire at 25. So, you know, I think people get it twisted.
Yeah. I think there's a TikTok trend, if you guys want to look into it, of like people hugging their children as teenagers, like embracing them, picking them up from the floor and then filming it. Cause I was like, I just want to record the last time I can pick you up, like physically pick you up all from the ground and embrace you like that, like when you were a child.
There's nothing like a hug. Again, I only had a daughter, so I can't speak to a son. But there's nothing like a hug from an 8-year-old daughter. It's just, you're like everything to them. And I would spend $100 grand to go get some of those. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, Lynn, I think the point is that there's a trade-off, like, period. So even like I said, for us, we get, okay, my first home, no money down, being in the military, but the trade-off was that I missed 2 years of my daughter's lives being away in a war zone, right? And so people don't think about that, which is why, you know, I say if you're serving, get all that you can, because when it's time for the rubber to meet the road, you're going to have to exchange something with Uncle Sam. So for me, you know, I chose, you know, to buy houses. And that's one thing I didn't know in the beginning, Mr. Zuber. I didn't know I could have bought fourplexes. So like the first home I bought was a single family home, which, like I said, it was at a lower price point. But I'm like, when I look back, I'm like, oh my God, we could have just done fourplex, and then been done or whatever. And then,
yeah.
Right, exactly. You know, wouldn't have had a care, you know, in the world or whatever. And so, but yeah, I think people just don't realize, like I said, that there's a trade-off. Like he's saying, what was the money for where, you know, how far did that money go in the Silicon Valley? It sounds like a really high number to someone that might live in the Midwest, but when you're looking at what the cost of living is there, you know, it's not the same. And I learned that just serving in the military, because they adjust our housing income every time that we move. And so I told my husband, like probably 12 years ago, I'm like, all incomes, no matter where you live at, it's the same everywhere, because if you have to have housing for that area, the income is just the same. It all evens itself out across the entire country, which, Lynn, to your point, why going out of your market to invest is so wise, because your money from California goes a lot further in another market. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people even think about to do. They just do like the Bryan guy and say, oh, let me try this. And no, you can't. But it's like, you're not even listening to the multiple different strategies that you can have, but you're just trying. My husband always says it's like a rocking chair. You're moving and moving and moving and moving, but you're not really moving forward.
Not getting anywhere. Yeah.
Yes. And that's what it seemed like to me with Bryan, is that, again, that's the generation that kind of, we, unfortunately, us millennials are in, is like trying to do all this stuff, but you're really not moving forward anywhere. Right. And to me, I felt like you have the privilege to have this man who's like your elder sitting in front of you in a podcast that has wisdom. And even for me, I've learned most from listening to people and their mistakes. Like I would sit down and say, most people will say, well, I don't want to hear from him because, you know, he didn't make it big, right? Or whatever. Yeah. But my thing is, like, I can ask you questions like, for example, what would you have done differently? right? So when you told me about the single family homes, like, you know, you'd have 20, I'm like, oh my God, that's the track that I've always thought about and been on. I don't have a lot of tenant turnover in single family homes at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so like, so, but I could choose to say, well, he didn't do that, so why should I, you know, and, or whatever it might be. And so I feel like, Len, people will just, like, naysayers are going to be naysayers. That's why it is. It all starts in the mind.
Mm.
And if you don't have your mind right, like when Jack always tells me I'm Sarah Goggins or whatever, like that's what they do. They'll message me or call me, and I'll be like, dude, get up, like you can do this, like no matter what.
Sarah Goggins. I
Yeah,
love
so
that. We need
Jack
a
refers
shirt.
to me. Yeah.
We need to buy her a shirt. Sarah
Yeah,
Goggins.
it's like your mindset is just weird. I'm like, is it really? Because my siblings always hated me because of it, whatever they did. They always hated me. Like, why can't you just be like everyone else? I'm like, no, I'm not thinking like that. There's always, you know, where there's a will, there's a way, as my mom always told me. And so again, Lynn, you figured it out. Yeah, you might not have known when you were 20 years old or whatever, but to me, I think that's the coolest thing to see you guys. I had some people in school message me like, I'm 57 and I never thought I could buy until you talked to me. And we're going to be closing on a deal and, you know, in 30 days. And I'm like, exactly. Like, it doesn't matter about the start that you had in life. It's about how you choose to finish. It doesn't matter if you graduate college late or whatever you want to call it. It's about will you get back up if you get knocked down. And that's where success comes, is getting back up, you know?
Mm.
Yeah, and I think it's so powerful too, like, because I do believe representation matters too. And if you don't relate to Michael Zuber, then join the school community. There's plenty of average people just like working it, like Jack, like Sarah, like myself, like Dion, who had to get himself out of like huge amounts of debt.
Yeah.
Like Frank, that had to foreclose on his home the first time he invested in real estate, and he's doing it for a second time. Many of normal people just like hanging out with each other on a daily basis. Now we have like how many accountability calls? Like 10, I think.
Yeah, 10 or 11. Yeah. It's pretty awesome to me to watch. Yeah. And you're saying I'm not normal, Lynn? Is that what I took from
Yeah,
that
you're
comment?
excellent. So we can't really compare.
Yeah, well, people will just try to say, I mean, in the Army, you make like, I don't know, $24,000 a year, I think is what I was making as a private and my husband was or whatever. And then we weren't married at the first maybe 4 years of our careers or whatever. We didn't even know each other. But it's like, it was still a choice. My little raggedy 24,000 bucks, it was still a choice for me to go buy a house. And I had only ever seen like negative home ownership also, to where people, like, someone died and then everyone lost the house. And I mean, like I said, it was foreclosed on or whatever. So it was scary to me to buy a house. It really, really was. That's why, but when the bank's like, we can approve you for way more, I'm like, no, please, no.
You're good.
I mean, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. But, and I think even now, that's why I never scaled like more, because we really could have done it a long time ago. But I'm like, oh, even still now I have fears. I'm like, I don't want to lose what I built, you know? And so I just feel like, Lynn, people, no matter what, I mean, I've been called an anomaly and you only did this because I'm half white was one of the things I've been told too. I was only able to do it because now I'm half white.
You're white half.
Yes, yes. Like, I've been told crazy stuff. Like really. And I'm like, no, and it really, like you say, Mr. Zuber, it really is just math. It's math and behavior. Like I said, if I chose to go out and buy and trade in a car every single time we got promoted, or every single time our neighbor came home with another car, and we chose to go do that, we wouldn't be, 40 something years old and be able to do whatever the heck we want. You know what I mean? And so again, it's a choice. And I think, to me, I wish that's the part people could really, really, really understand, is that we all have choices.
All of us.
Just like
it's all of us have, again, it's not about the income.
Right.
That's one of the things that I wish I could get across, and I try to do it all the time, right? When you think about how much do I make? Then everybody knows how much they make. And then I go, well, how much do you take home? Like X taxes. Most people know that. But then I ask them, what's your discretionary income? And people look at me like I'm dead. It's like, what are you talking about? What is that? I don't know what that number is.
Yeah.
And that is the only number that matters. That is the only freaking number that matters, because everything between net income and discretionary income, you've already spent. That's shit. That's sailed. Your only number that matters is how you can grow discretionary income, because that is the seed that becomes the assets. That's the number that you need to. That's why I added to our school community, get your money right, because that is how there's spreadsheets and there's all that in there to go figure that number out. That's the number that matters. It's not your income. It's not your net. It's how much discretionary income do you have?
Right.
Jack, did you have some questions? Sorry, man. I felt like I've been
We
ignoring
know
We
you.
took over your channel.
No, I actually had a epiphany. I don't know why you've told the story about your daughter a few times, but it hit me different this time, and I was fine just being silent because I was just kind of thinking about something. Just with everything that everyone has a story, okay, and I'm not going to get immensely into it here, but the one thing I can honestly say is that my dad's always been there in my life, and that's kind of what I was thinking about when we were talking about that story,
Oh,
and like. I don't know, like even my friends wanted to hang out with my dad too. Like we all go fishing and hunting and we go camping and stuff together. And it's kind of, I don't know, like through all the hardships and stuff that I had in my life, I always had my dad with me.
Good for you.
mhm.
And that was, I don't know why it hit me then.
Send
And
your
that's why
dad a text and thank him after this.
Yeah. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. So would you rather have had that ice cream cone, Jack, or your dad there? Because I would rather have had my dad.
Yeah.
Screw the ice cream.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is. It's a blessing for sure. Because like I said, my husband's gone right now away from his kids. Like and it's tough. Like we've got each other because we both serve. So I know what my husband's feeling. Even though people think just because he's a guy, it's different. No, it's not. I've been to combat with all men by myself, and they have sat and wept because they've lost children. Their wives have miscarried, and I was the only shoulder to cry on. And so men do. They miss their children. I think that's a huge misconception that society has in general. It's like, oh, because somehow the dad's off working, that he's having a fun life. Like, no, he's in pain for his wife and kids.
Yeah.
And I am thankful for that. I got to see that in war. It was one of the dark sides of war that no one probably really even knows exists, but it's tough for guys to be away. Or whatever.
Yeah.
And but yeah, Jack, having your dad, I would take that. Forget the
Yeah.
ice cream cone, man.
I think it's just hard to see your dad having a breakdown because of the reasons behind it than it is. Like I didn't even really think about that until I was already investing again. That thought actually came back to life.
Mm.
Lynn, you have some other questions for me? You always got some more.
Do I? I
I
don't.
know. I know.
I think you answered pretty much all the questions, but I do think that a lot of good conversation came out of the video.
Yeah.
A lot of good back and forth, and people even questioning like what they thought the market was as well, or what the market is going to be. So I don't think it's a bad thing that happened. I feel like it sparked a lot of like
I agree.
arguments back and forth.
100%. Yeah. 48 hours after it posted, I felt a lot better. I agree.
That's why you should do it again.
You closing,
I think if
Lynn.
you do
I
it
like
again,
it. I
it should be-
respect you.
Oh,
I think if you do it
God.
again, it should be on your terms and on your channel where you can kind of take more control over the situation.
I don't mind doing it on. I mean, again, so that was one of the things that came up. And again, I watched your guys' video. Thank you very much for doing it. The question early on, and I think actually Lynn had the answer, but Sarah, you asked like, why is Zuber letting these guys play with him?
Yeah.
And I think that's a fair thing. But one of the things that I have to do as somebody that's on a mission to create something that outlives me by 50 years is I got to go find new people. And the best way to do that, the most efficient way to do that is to get introduced to new audiences.
Right.
So again, I go into a world like Ryan Pineda's as often as I can because he's got a massive world, 400 and whatever it is, thousand in millions on TikTok or whatever it is. And I'm only trying to get 1 or 2% to even look at us. Because again, we don't play very well, right? The Venn diagram's not overlapped like we talked about. But that's why I do those things. And Lynn, your intuition was spot on. That's why I do that. Because again, if I bring them on my channel, it'll just be my people. And I want to get, frankly, some of his people. So yeah, I have no problem going back, and I'll reach out after the event. After the event.
I do have a question about the 50-year journey.
Sure.
So after the inevitable happens, I've always wondered, do you have a plan for ORAT? Like, is there someone that's going to take the driver's seat afterwards?
So it's funny thought. I just thought about that this weekend. So there's no official plan, but there probably should be. My hope is, let's just say when I'm 75, so a couple of more decades, is that somebody, probably at that point in their 50s, I just hand the keys over and, let them do their thing. And I show up every once in a while, as a special guest. But yeah, to your point, my hope is the one rental at a time mission or everyday wealth builders continues. Like, not only is, the stuff I created live on forever, but I'm hoping somebody or several somebodies pick it up and just take it to the next iteration. Again, I don't think there's anything special about me or our story. I think the one thing I got right was the title, One Rental at a Time. I think that's it. I got that right. But that worked 100 years ago. And I think it will work in another 100 years. So yeah, I hope there's people that pick it up, long after I'm gone.
Well, to be fair, like you said, if you had several people, it would kind of be almost the same as it is now with you talking with your, with all your friends and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes One Rental at a Time so great is you have your story, you have all their stories, and you have different mindsets and different aspects and stuff, and you get to formulate your own opinion about stuff from hearing other people's information about different topics.
Well, that's why I it's funny. I'm best known. So I have 2 books, as you guys know, One Rental at a Time, bestseller and all of that. I actually think my second book is more important because that's the book that I wrote because I needed it at year 1 through 5. And that's the story of, hey, here's 15 unique and different stories of people that got to the finish line. And that's why the Millionaire series took off on my channel. While I interview 10 to 12 a week, is because my story works for, white males, tech employees, whatever. That's not most of the world, right?
Right.
There's a whole lot of other colors of the rainbow. And, that's why I'm trying to be so inclusive, because it works for everybody, but we're just visual people. And, that's just how life works. That's why, Lynn, I think you're a part of this. That's why the ladies of ORAT, I think it was the 2nd or 3rd accountability group in school. I was so excited when that got created. Cause you want to talk to an audience that I can't talk to, it's the ladies of ORAT, right? If you look at my YouTube stats, it's embarrassing. 11 or 12% of my audience are women. There's 51% women in this world. And I only, it's embarrassing. But again, the audience is that, who they see. So it's crazy.
Well, I think men are just, they're risk takers. Because if you saw our ORAT WhatsApp chat, some of the stuff these guys do, I'm like, please do not, why are you guys taking all this risk? Because I think that's why there's just not a lot of women investors, because not a lot of us are willing to take risks, or we're, I know.
Hey, slow and steady wins the race, man. That's okay with me.
Yes. But I know I had Lynn do a video with Mark. I think we did with Mark some months ago, because her story of being an immigrant, I'm like, people need to hear that, because I'm sick of all this crap about I can't, right? Yeah. And so I'm like, now you've got a woman and an immigrant, and she had to take care of her parents and all this, and English is not her first language. But she came here and she's doing her thing, you know what I mean? And so
Absolutely.
Again, naysayers are just gonna always be naysayers. And I feel like who you're meant to reach is who you're gonna be meant to reach. And if people want to sit and keep complaining, well, I'll be living my best life here in a couple of years.
Well, that's exactly why that's why this is important. Again, there are so many people out there that if they just heard Lynn's story would stop the fucking excuses.
Right.
Right. So again, keep doing what you're doing, keep leading from the front, keep being an example. Part of life is not only what you're able to accomplish, but who else you can help on this journey. And Lynn, your story is going to resonate with an audience. It's going to start people on a journey. So just please keep doing what you're doing.
I hope so, because there's a lot of, me growing up, I didn't really have a network like this. And since the first time I went to the Aura conference, which was last year, which is when I joined too, one of the things that struck the most to me was grow your network, meet one person. And then I think coming from a different type of background, you're scared of growing your network because you're so used to your community that you feel comfortable with the community, it feels easy. But at the same time, the only way that you're growing or changing is when you're forced to other type of people, or you're forced to other type of thinking, when you're forced to question your own beliefs and the stories that we tell ourselves as well.
I wanted to grab this because I forget which rule it is. Rule number 7 is probably the most important rule on this, and it's the one I get the most flack for. The rule, ORAT rule number 7 says, audit your personal network and basically ask yourself, are they helping or hurting you? And again, I go back to the presentation at Bigger Pockets in Vegas this year. After you do it, you get down and you talk to people. So many of us adults, and I'm talking 30, 40, 50-year-olds, like real adults, not 18-year-olds that are, barely over the line. They're like, how do you, like literally grown men ask me, how do you make friends? And the first couple of times I got that question, I was shocked. Now, maybe this because I'm a sales guy and, I've gotten comfortable doing it, so I get it. But again, if you want to do something amazing or different, you have to find a community. And that's why I think one rental at a time, our school community will be the thing I'm most known for in a year or two. Because again, it's not something I'm trying to grind people. I'm not charging $99 a month or anything silly like that. It's just enough over free so we don't get any pretenders. But yeah, if you get in a room like that with other people going the same direction, you're going to find new friends. Like there are people in our world, and you guys know them, and you're probably examples of these. You have some amazing new friendships that if you weren't in school, you wouldn't have. And these are the type of people that are life-changing because you could bitch and complain to them, and then, they'll listen. And then if they're like Sarah, they'll kick you in the ass sometimes when you need it. Right? So again, this is why we're unique. And that is the thing that I wish I did different. Because again, my first 5 years, I lived on an airplane and I lived in my spreadsheet. I convinced myself that I could do it alone. And sure, I got to an okay place. I'm not going to say it wasn't great, but I'm going to tell you, most of you couldn't do it. Most of you are not broken. I am fundamentally broken. My superpower is focus and daily discipline. I get excited for the work tomorrow, and it's not tomorrow. Most people aren't like that. And, just get in a room with other people going the same direction. So much of life is just, and this could be about health or wealth or anything. If you just get in the current that is going the right direction, it's easier. But if you don't change your network, your boat is pointing the wrong way and you're trying to get, I don't know, up current or down current. I'm not a boating guy, so I have no idea. But it's a lot harder to go one way than the other. If you want to get wealthy, I got the place for you. It's our school community. And it's still your work. You'll still have to row. You'll still have to avoid rocks, but at least the current is helping you. And that's your network. Your network is the current.
Mr. Zuber, that's actually, I just remembered something that made me so mad and I forgot to write it down. I'm so glad you said that. That was something on the video they said to you that made me furious.
Uh-oh.
So they actually got on you about in-person events are going away. You're just waiting, kind of like I felt like they were telling, and you were like, okay, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he better not be believing these, Joe. I was getting so mad. And so I felt like they discouraged you, or were trying to discourage, or at least I guess it would have discouraged those of us that are part of your community or whatever. When he was telling you, like, yeah, in-person events are like a waste of time unless it's, whatever he had going on, golfing or whatever the heck he was talking about. But I'm like, no, I know for me, like I had Harrison texted me Christmas pictures of him and his family and vice versa.
Yeah.
And like I said, Jack knows he can text me at 3:00 in the morning and I'm awake and Sarah's going to respond while he's on like the night shift at the hospital. If he's discouraged about whatever work he's got to go do after he gets off his first job to go to deal with repairs. And so I feel like there is like a friendship that I've built with people from coming to the in-person. Like we may have to go, my husband may take an assignment back in Hawaii when he's done in New York. And I didn't even know that Mark was an agent on the island. So I was asking him about some of the condos and he's like, don't buy blah, 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 blah. Make sure you check on this. I'm like, wait, why didn't you tell me you were an agent? So that's something he can help me do. Yeah. Plus, because he's in the ORAT, I'm not going to pay sticker price for anything anyone's asking with these couple of years coming now. Yeah. So he's not going to be afraid to write the disrespectful offers when most agents are. And had I not come to the in-person event and us not have met one another, I wouldn't, it would be weird for me just to go to some random agent on island. Yeah. And so I feel like that was something that really peed me off.
Yeah, no, so first off, our events aren't going anywhere. I really look at so the original event was a 50,000 celebration, right, for on YouTube. But by year 3, it's a family reunion. Yeah. And I mean that, with all the respect, bloodlines, have for family reunions. like I'm going to guess, we'll probably have 300 people there. I'm going to guess 80% have been to at least one. And that just tells you people are coming back for exactly what you said, to continue those relationships and friendships. And I think earlier this year when I was in the suck part of this, I said, this might be the last one. It won't be the last one. It's
okay. Yeah. Our WhatsApp was going off about that. Our WhatsApp chat, like, he better not. I'm like, I'll pay more if he needs help. So just let us know, like, whatever you need.
Guys, you heard it here.
Yeah.
So it's not stopping. And we won't stop at year 4, because if you're going to get to year 4, you got to do year 5. I mean, come on. But yeah, I mean, I was in the moment of, holy shit, I got to climb this hill again.
Yeah.
I got by it, but no, we're not stopping. It's just as much fun for you guys. I mean, sorry. It's just as much fun for me, I should have said. Again, if you watch me at the events, I never stop moving. Yeah. And, sometimes you'll see me upstairs looking down. I am getting so much positive reinforcement that I can bank.
Yeah.
Because my mission hasn't changed from video number 1. Create something that outlives me by 50 years. And that event, that 2-day event, which, oh, by the way, there are some, like, I don't think I've had a presentation yet, right? I've had a little Q&A session, but this is not about me. The ORAD event is not about, oh, look at Zuber, how Zuber is good. It's about Zuber putting together an agenda with people that he thinks will move the needle for the audience. And, oh, by the way, Zuber doesn't sell shit there. No speakers sell shit. No back of the room credit card nonsense.
Right.
And, oh, by the way, every speaker allocates 15 minutes for Q&A. Right. I'm doing this for the audience, but I'm getting just as much out of it because I can see my vision manifested in the energy and in the conversations. And I'm looking at people that like the daily financial news. I love the fact that comments blow up with you guys razzing each other and all of that. I mean, I'm watching it on my screen. You guys probably can't see it. I'm like, these guys are amazing. And then you guys do it in person and you're taking pictures and Instagram's blowing up. So I'm not giving that up. Fuck no, that's an amazing few days for me.
Yeah.
I have one last question.
Awesome.
Do you shop at Costco?
Yeah.
Oh God.
I do.
Oh gosh, we have a debate on our little ORAT WhatsApp about Costco.
Yeah, I would say so. I like their ribeye steaks. I a guy that likes ribeye, so I'll go there for the ribeyes. They're 4 packs of ribeyes. That's all I buy there. Olivia goes there and gets some of their prepared salads, cut up in the area. Occasionally, like I'm trying to think of like what we go there for on purpose. Like I'll go there for ribeyes. But yeah, we're not the guys that go up and down the aisles. We're like very purposeful.
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You're like, I'm going to go buy the 4-pack or I'm going to go get 2 of them and freeze the other one or whatever. But so we do have a Costco membership and we probably spend $300 a month there probably.
Yeah, I did say a very controversial thing one time. I was live with Mark, and ever since then, I'm Costco girl for some reason. I said, I don't believe Costco saves you money. And I backed it up with like how exponentially it's grown and how many people usually spend like $600 when they go to Costco, even though they just went for like, I don't know.
Well, that's back for me being broken. Right. I'm broken. Right. We go there and like, I take a beeline to the ribeyes and then I walk to the cash register, but everybody, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, so when I was growing up, there was something called Price Club. Costco bought Price Club. Price Club was close to my family, but my mom and dad would do the same thing. They would go in and walk down all the aisles. Oh my God, look at this big thing of blah, blah, blah. And,
right. Nope.
Yeah, no, that's not who I am. I'm just
not me. I have a list and that's all.
Yeah, I'm broken. I'm so broken. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I buy is Halloween candy. Like Halloween, I'll go there for Halloween. Yeah, because I get big handfuls of Halloween candy. It's my favorite.
And then you see Mark said that we have to have the Super Bowl party at ORAT next year because it's on the 14th. Sounds like a plan.
Sounds like a plan. Yeah, I can work something on that. We'll do an after party because it's on Sun. Oh, it's actually Sun. Yeah. Usually it's 1:00, so you have to figure that out.
Oh gosh! All right.
Yeah, whatever.
You could do Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday open for Super Bowl, or if that's it,
we can figure something out.
We'll figure something. That's next year's problem. I'll worry about that on August 1st when I start putting together the agenda for next
year. He said his pace more be a speaker to troll Dion.
It's funny. I'm going to try to get them to interview each other. That's funny.
Oh God.
Yeah, so I think Pace is only going to show up for his talk. He's talking 2 to 4 on Sunday. He's doing this 100 city tour in the van or the bus or whatever. He's RV, I guess, RV. So yeah, he's going to probably come in, come out. I bet he'll be there for a couple hours. I actually think the funner person to talk to is his wife. Now, I don't know if you guys know Laura Morby.
Mm-mm.
She's I think she like my plan again. It's Pace, so you never know what will happen. My plan is to get Pace up there to talk for about 70 to 75 minutes is how I'll set my alarm. And then my intention is to get Laura on stage because I think they have a very interesting dynamic, husband and wife, right? And again, I think this is so much about couples. So my intention is to get Laura on stage because I think she's an underappreciated asset. And again, they've got 4 kids, I think.
Oh.
So again, it's in the watch what Pace does all over the place. So I think it'd be an interesting dynamic. But yeah, and then I'm sure Pace will leave because I'm sure he's going to go talk to his sub 2 community. So I don't think he'll be there very long. But yeah, he asked for 2 hours, so he's got 2 hours, 2 to 4 on Sunday.
All right.
So it's fascinating the tea his wife could spill. I actually have heard Laura speak, and I agree with you. They have a very interesting dynamic, the
Mhm.
both of them.
Yep.
Hmm.
Uh-oh, somebody said mom. I heard mom.
My son's like, Mom, what are you doing? So we're like, there's gators in the back again. Whatever.
Stay
Not worrying about
inside.
an alligator. Yes,
Yeah.
God, right. You get rolled in that water if you keep playing around.
Exactly. All right. Any other questions? This is fun for me. Again, I meant when I said earlier, you guys have heard all my stories, so I don't have to go through them. So, I mean, if there's ever been a question you wanted to ask, I'm an open book. I think you guys could ask, I have no idea what you may have been thinking about for years, but ask it. Just ask any question. You don't have to be embarrassed if there's other questions.
Well, I definitely appreciate you because you were my lifeline during COVID, man. It's just surreal to me. I'm like, I'm sitting here talking to this guy that because I sent an email. I was willing to say, hey, what about this? And I'm like, wait, this is real. He replied to me. And so it's an honor for me to be able to chat with you guys. So
No, it's you made a big difference. I mean, one of the things the funnest part of the ORAD event for me is but right before lunch day 1, I do something called ORAD Awards, and you got an award last year.
yeah.
Because again, I believe in celebrating stories and people that are go givers and all of that. So yeah, the funnest part of the event for me this year will be the same thing, giving those 5 or 6 belts away to people who have no idea they're coming. So I
Well, thank you for writing your book because it's blessed me immensely. My whole family, even down to my little 6-year-old. Your 50 years outliving you is being through him for sure.
Awesome. Well, that's the
Mission
beauty
accomplished. Mission accomplished.
That's the beauty is, I only got to go one generation.
Yeah,
And that'll
yeah.
get me 50 years. So
Yep, it's there with him already because he's going in every little house and attics with me and all kinds of stuff. Like, let's go check out this stuff. I'm trying to get one of my kids to build and do construction for me.
there you go.
So,
Lynn, have you ever questions you're like, hey, I've always wanted to ask Zuber about this? Anything?
I think like situations, I was like, what would Zuber say about this situation per se? Like right now where I am in my investing journey, I have a lot of questions from that. And I think it's more about confidence that I have in myself, more technical. But yeah, that would be
You said agents?
for my what?
I missed the opening. What is the question around?
Yeah, I think more questions about my self-confidence.
Oh, self-confidence. Yeah.
Rather than like technical moves for my portfolio.
Okay. So the thing that I would tell you there is you're already light years ahead of where you probably think you are.
mm-hmm.
Right. You've got to have more self-confidence in yourself. The fact that you're here right now having this conversation, the fact that you had, led and had great questions on that review video means that you're in it. You are an investor. You are. And you may not be giving yourself credit. You may feel like a pretender or whatever that's called. You're in it. You're making moves and you're in the first 5 years of suck and you know it, you understand it, and you're still moving forward. Lynn, you are in the top 1 or 2% of people I interact with. Seriously. 1 or 2%. And you should wear that as a badge of honor. It doesn't mean you're guaranteed squat. I'm not trying to say you're guaranteed anything. But the fact that you're in the top 1 or 2% of the tens of thousands of people I've interacted with should be you should feel good about that. And, I already see your future. If you can continue doing what you're doing, and it's a wonderful future, you just got to stay on the grind. And, the mind is a very, interesting thing. And I've suffered from it as well. As one of the stories earlier said, the mind can go wild on you. But yeah, you need to give yourself more credit, I think.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's from me to you.
Yeah, I try to. It's hard. It's
Lynn, is
like keeps coming back.
I was going to ask you, Lynn, is your confidence issue like because of YouTube, or is it because of like Michael just said about not being an investor? Like, what is it specifically, or have you thought about it?
That was pretty true. Like for the first 2 years, I didn't even call myself an investor. Like I had 8 properties, and I'm like, I guess I'm an investor.
No,
I don't know.
Come on. No, see,
yeah.
You're in. I mean this with all the kindness, and it should feel like a warm hug. You are in the top 1 or 2% of the tens of thousands of people I've interacted with over the last 8 years. That should feel amazing.
Yeah.
Michael, I thought
It
we
does
weren't
for
doing
me.
hugs anymore.
Yeah, we don't do hugs. Yeah, virtual hugs. Virtual hugs.
No, it does. Lynn, I went through that actually my own self. I did too. Because of like, well, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom. And matter of fact, my counselor that I was seeing a few years ago, she was like, Sarah, why do you always come in this office referring to yourself as a stay-at-home mom? And I was like, I do. And she was like, you pull in some G's a month. And I was like, yeah, I know. And she was like, honey, because she runs her own business. She's like, has her own clinical, whatever the heck you call it, whatever, the clinic. And so, or office, whatever, practice, whatever they call it. Anyways, and that because she's owned her own business for years. So she was like, you're doing your taxes and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, uh-huh. And she's like, honey, you're running your own company. And I was like, well, I never officially did an LLC. And so I hadn't, because we move all the time. And so I'm like, where do I actually officially establish that? So I never went through that process or whatever. And so then she was like, girl, I'll help you, whatever, because I knew I was going to stay where we're at now. Like we're going to make this home. But it's taken me 25 years to figure out where we were going to live at for the rest of our lives. So I struggled with that as well. And I just kept saying, yeah, I'm just a stay-at-home mom. And she's like, girl, I'll be seeing you in here with your phone answering this and that. You're like, hold on 1 minute. I got to deal with this for, one of my managers or whatever. So she's like, you run your own business. Yeah. She's like, it just depends on how you structure things. She's like, if you want to get it, structured, I'll help you. And so like that actually encouraged me. I was like, holy crap, I do. I'm making major decisions all the time. I'm putting refrigerators in and, putting roofs on houses and all kinds of stuff. But I just kept telling myself I was a stay-at-home mom or whatever. And she's like, no, you're retired from the Army and you're running all your real estate. Like, what's wrong with you? And so I get it. It took me probably 3 years after that to like be like, yeah, like this is what I've been doing for 12 years or whatever it's been. So
yeah, no, I think it's about also taking risks. I feel like all the risks that I take are extremely calculated, and there's always like a backup plan to a backup plan to a backup plan. And I think that I set this goal for this year for myself. Like I'm a W-2 employee. I've always been a W-2 employee. Now I'm going to open up my own business. And so taking the leap, like, is shaking a little bit of my identity a little bit because it's risky in my head. But I'm also like, I started doing it part-time last year. So I had some success. I'm able to pay my overhead and then build a little bit of profit. So if I do leave my W-2, it's like that safety blanket that I have with all my benefits and medical insurance and all those things. And like leaving that, I feel like it shakes my world because I met my goal now.
If you ever get discouraged, just give me a text any time of the day or night.
Yeah, if you need kick in the pants, Sarah Goggins will be there for you.
Yeah, but you got this, girl. Oh.
That's funny. All right, anything else, guys?
There's something I always want to tell you, Michael, and I never had a chance, or I've forgotten in our past streams. But I always want to thank you for the first book that you wrote.
Sure.
because I was listening to that the first time through when I was remodeling my first duplex, and Norris Drive, that story about Norris Drive.
Yeah.
When you're laying in a pile of garbage, sleeping in it to get up and go to work after someone just did the exact same thing to your place,
Yeah.
it kind of keeps you in the game when you're just like, I just want to sell it.
Yep.
And that story kept me in the game.
Yeah. Olivia deserves all the credit because I was ready to quit. Right. Again, as a father and a husband who had just lost 80% of his net worth, his family's net worth in the .com crash, I was very vulnerable. And then we take half our chips and we throw it at North Drive. We feel amazing for 30 days. And then we never get another rent payment. And then we go back and see it's been destroyed. I was ready to quit. I was so depressed. I was, again, back to that headspace. I was feeling like a failure. And I was like, damn it. What am I doing buying rental properties 3 hours away? Blah, 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 blah. And Olivia, the genius that she is, said, did we do anything wrong? And we honestly didn't. Just, it was one of those things. And she said, let's try one more time. Yeah. And without that line, we would not, I'd still be working today. The four of us would not be talking. One rental at a time would not exist. I would have sold the property. I would have lost 20 grand and I would just be a freaking sales jockey for the next decade. That one line, did we do anything wrong? Let's try one more time. So yeah, kudos to Olivia. Not me. I was ready to quit. If she would have paused and thought, I would have made us quit. And she didn't. So yeah, Olivia's the better half.
Awesome. All right. But I was like, I lost it too. She's waiting to get her braces on. Yeah, and so the orthodontist is like, we need her to get these last 2 teeth out before I'm putting those braces on her. So I lost it too.
Down to one. Only one left, girl.
Yep. Oh God, I heard you, baby. Thank you. It's like she's so excited. Braces on.
There you go.
On that note, I think thank you so much for coming on the channel and talking to us. I know your
thank you.
time is valuable.
I would not have missed this for the world. Being on the other side, getting questions from people that know, respect, and love you is a wonderful place to be. So I'm honored to be here. I was honored to watch. I mean, I've never had a video where people reacted to something I've said. So thank you for that. That was a treat. And we'll see 2 of you in Vegas. One of you's boycotting this year.
I'm sorry. My plate is full with Keith going. I'm about to die. I'm doing 800 to 1,000 miles a week driving these kids.
I'm just kidding. We'll see you next year.
I'm sad. Yeah, I'll be there. I'm going to miss you guys. I'm sad.
That's right.
Yeah.
Tell Olivia I said hello.
I will.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
End this live. So we'll see you guys. Don't forget to come to the conference.
Or join school. You can watch it, stream it in school.
Yep, I'll be on